When you can understand that something can and you will do something about it, that's also growth. You listen to this podcast, that's growth. Because welcome to Declutter for Change podcast. I'm your host, Heather Clark, Declutter Expert. All right, so today's episode is all about growth. That is the G in the acronym C.H.A.N.G.E, which is the basis of Declutter for Change and what the business is about, how decluttering helps. And I'll give you the Dr. Google definition of what growth actually means. The process of developing or maturing physically, mentally, or spiritually. I'd also like to add to that emotionally, because that is a big part of growth that a lot of us don't realize that decluttering helps with. Because when you clear out, let's say, the physical stuff, and the emotional stuff comes with that, and let's say you reacted about a year ago in a certain way to something, to maybe the same situation, maybe a person, and then all of a sudden today, after clearing out the physical stuff, after realizing that those emotions came with it and sitting with those emotions, understanding those emotions, that same situation happened from a year ago happens today, and you react differently. You are able to stop, process what's going on, as opposed to just emotionally reacting. So that's why I would also add the emotional part to the growth as well. A year ago, you would automatically react. Absolutely, out of anger, out of sad. The self-talk that would come from it would come up, and that same situation happening today, after you've done the physical decluttering, after you've cleared out some of your space, after you've intentionally kept things in your life, whether it's the people, whether it's the stuff, the thoughts, the emotions, now you can look at the exact same situation and go, okay, how can I step back? How can I look at this logically and see it for what the situation actually is? That's growth. That right there is growth. And growth can be massive. Growth can be teeny tiny little steps. Growth depends on you. Because some people, they grow substantially. Like it becomes a complete overnight spiritually different person. That's growth. Or it's somebody that starts to think about things differently, that starts to be more intentional about the things that they do, be more intentional about what they're buying. Like I had a client and I always love this story because it showed how much growth she had. So she had told me I guess it was a year ago or a couple of years ago, that after working together, that she went into the store and she picked up something. And when she picked it up, it was out of habit. We all do it. You go in, you buy, you don't really think about it. But she stopped and she thought about it. And she said to herself, do you really want this item? Or are you going to just declutter it later? And wow, what a moment that was for her. What a moment it was for me to be able to witness that growth. Because that right there, that was huge. Yeah, it felt like it was an overnight growth, but it was also the small steps that she took of clearing out the physical stuff, being able to sit with the emotions, being able to sit with the thoughts, that growth came to fruition, to the fact that she was able to sit there with an item that she normally, even a month prior to that, or 2 months or 6 months prior to that, she would have just put it in the cart and just bought it and not even thought twice about it. But because she was decluttering, and because that's what decluttering does, is it helps you with all this, helps you with the emotional, the mental, the physical, the spiritual part. She had a substantial growth moment, and she was able to take that with her, and she continues to say the same thing. Am I buying this for this reason, or am I just going to end up decluttering it later because really I didn't actually want it, I just want it in the moment? So another way that when you're realizing that you're growing, whether it's, like I said, small steps or big steps, is when you start to really detach from that stuff. So the physical stuff. Before, you used to think that you had to keep everything, you had to have it all because it all has memory, it all has sentimental value and blah, blah, blah. When really it's not the item that is important. It's what that item represents. It's what that item, it's the emotions that that particular item brings you. That's what is actually what we want to keep. And that's why I say, if you're the type of person that has a bunch of stuff from, let's say, past grandparents or hand down from family heirlooms and stuff, that's fine that you want to keep them. But please, do not put them in the back of your closet. Do not put them where they're in a box in the garage or in the basement. That is not helping you. That is not helping the energy of the item. And that is definitely not helping the memory of that person. And yes, I could say it's easy for me to say because I don't have those boxes, but I did. Even as the expert, yes, I did. I had those items, like those pictures and those heirlooms. Actually, I don't know if I have any heirlooms anymore because years ago we had the ex and I had split and he was at the marital home and there was a tornado. So I think some of the stuff that I did have as heirlooms or as stuff that used to come from my grandparents actually ended up getting destroyed in that. So again, I was forced to detach from those items. I still have the memories of the items. I still have some things from my grandparents, so I still have memories of them. Like, for that alone, like I journal about it or I write it down if I feel that I may forget or if I feel that our day-to-day lives get in the way and we think we're never going to remember it like we did if we kept this item. Well, if that item brings a story, great. Please honor it. Honor that story, honor that item, and honor the memory of that person that gave it to you or the reason why you want to keep it in your home. Okay? So when you start to detach from the actual item, that's where your growth is. That's when you start to realize, okay, this literally is just an item. It is not the person. It is only a representation of the memory of that person and the emotion that I hold because of this person or this event or this circumstance. Another way that decluttering helps when you can accept the clutter at face value and know that something can be done about it versus just overreacting, not understanding that nothing can be done. Oh my God, there's so much to do. And self-talk, how can I ever get this done? I'm such a slob. That kind of self-talk, when you can understand that something can and you will do something about it, that's also growth. You listening to this podcast, that's growth because there's a reason you're listening to this. There's a reason why you're understanding that decluttering is for your entire life. You will continually declutter, especially through change, because change is inevitable. It is the only thing that will continue again and again and again. You change. You're not the same person as you were yesterday. I am not the same person I was yesterday. I've even grown emotionally since yesterday. I've grown mentally since yesterday as well. And so have you. We are constantly growing. We are constantly changing. And with that brings that growth and clearing out what doesn't serve us mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically, then that allows us to grow into the person that we want to be, that we are intentional about, that we are here to be. We aren't here on this earth to collect as much stuff as we can. I don't care how many memes there are out there that say, he or she who dies with the most wins. No, that's not how it works. He or she who has lived out their life with purpose, being happy, and making a difference in other people's lives, that's who wins. When you can change your life, when you can change other people's lives, that's when you win. And when you can do it in such a positive way that it enlightens you, that you just do it because it's become who you are, that is growth. And that is what this is all about. We're not here to collect stuff. We're not here to keep up with the Joneses. We aren't here to get the best of the best of the best when it comes to stuff. We are here to change our lives, to learn the lessons we're supposed to learn, to teach others what we have learned, and to grow physically, mentally, spiritually, and like I said, I would add emotionally as well. So when you clear out the stuff that no longer serves you, when you declutter all of that, and you get back to who you are at your core, when you get back to your values, and your values are yours, you need to sit down with those and see, what are my values? What are my beliefs? What are my habits? And where can I clear the stuff that is not serving me? And that's when the growth happens, and that's when the change happens, and it happens during the change. And one day you all of a sudden can sit down when the storm, quote unquote, passes and go, wow, I managed to get on the other side of this, and I am not the same person as I was. That is growth. That's what change does. When you're changing, you're growing. When you're decluttering, you're growing. When you're getting back to who you are, you're growing. Know that there is always something to do about it, that you are never in a place where action cannot be taken. And then next podcast is going to be the last letter of the acronym CHANGE, which is energy. All talking about energy and how everything we do, everything we have, everything is energy. And how decluttering helps with all that energy. Thank you for listening, and we will see you next time. Bye.